Well, hello everybody. Hi, thanks for coming. My name is Sheryl MacKay, and when I'm not here and not on holidays, I'm the host of North by Northwest on CBC. Thanks, and it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to be here again for the New Voices event, and I'm going to tell you more about that in just a second, but before we get to that, a little of the business, just a reminder to turn off cell phones and pagers, any of those kinds of things that could cause a ruckus here. Also want to thank our sponsor for this event, the sponsor of the Coast Reporter for the New Voices event. And also want to remind you, those of you who may have forgotten or may not even know this, that the annual New Voices event features writers of first books, and it's funded by earnings from the Marie Steele Memorial Endowment. And Marie, as many of you know, was a long-time volunteer and supporter of the festival, and the endowment fund was created by her family in her honor to celebrate her love of the festival, and what a wonderful way to celebrate that by helping new voices launch their literary careers. So thanks so much to the family too. And I love it. I love getting to talk to newbies, to brand new authors. It is such a treat and such a thrill, and I am so delighted to be able to talk to the two authors we have here today. Robyn Levy has made a career of being a creator, a writer, a visual artist, an award-winning broadcaster, and a stand-up comic, among other creative endeavors. But it was a couple of big curves that were thrown by life that set Robyn on a track to write her memoir, her first book, Most of Me, Surviving My Medical Meltdown. It's a roller coaster of a story, Robyn's diagnoses of Parkinson's and breast cancer coming in rapid succession, and the story told with her very dark, very humorous voice. It's a book that made me laugh out loud, and at times made me weep. And speaking of laugh out loud, I also did that while reading Kim Clark's Attemptations, and I had to look that word up, Attemptations. It's hard to say too, and it's attempt to tempt another, and there's a lot of temptation happening in the stories. Let me tell you, plenty of temptation going on here. Kim's characters are feisty, they're sometimes outrageous. I'm thinking of an example of a mother who sets fires so her fireman's son can become heroes. Characters who are often consumed with sex, like a character we're going to hear about today who's told that she has a very limited amount of orgasms left to enjoy. Many of the characters in these stories are facing a disability or a disease and chafe at the perceptions of others and the limitations that are caused by that. And Kim Clark took up writing at kind of a surprising point in her life with great enthusiasm. In fact, besides this collection of short stories, Kim's had 2 books of poetry published this year as well, so she went at it with a bang. Let us welcome Robyn. Thank you both for being here. Thanks, Sheryl. And we have the yoga mat here. You may notice the yoga mat on the stage. Robyn was just having a little stretching beforehand, and I don't know, you might need to stretch again, right?
Yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah, but I like the siren sound. If somebody can make that once in a while.
The siren sound?
Yeah, like in the ambulance.
You just become used to that?
Yeah.
Punctuation of your life. Since you are both first-time authors, I'd love to hear about the book, about opening that box, seeing that book for the very first time. Kim, what was it like for you when you opened that box and saw Attemptations there with that beautiful cover?
The first book, the first time, it was kind of funny because this is a book of short fiction, but I was with a group of poet friends that get together once a year, and the books were delivered to this house, and there were about 10 of us. And so I shared my first fiction book with poets. And but they were all thrilled for me, and of course we had a lot of fun doing it. It was like Christmas, opening up a box with a little of me inside. So
Beautiful. Did you pick it up and kind of...
I can't tell you everything I did with it, but it
my experience is a little bit different. This is the cover, and I'm an artist, and so the first shock was actually getting over somebody else designing the cover. I had assumed I would put my shave slave character on the cover, but I was wrong. And it was PDF to me first, and then I sent it to my friends and family, and I got a little email back from my sister. I hope I can say this word. She said, "Nice pussy." Because the little part down there hadn't been covered up, and it looked like I was exposing myself. And every time I looked at it, I was horrified. So I had to Photoshop it just to show the publisher what could be done. And they obliged, thankfully, so I don't feel as exposed.
But somewhat exposed. I mean, both of these books have so much of you in them, although, of course, Kim, yours is fiction, and Robyn, yours is memoir. Kim, how did you come to write this book? It's quite an extraordinary story. Your kind of arrival as a writer.
Well, I have this theory that I didn't really have any writing in me until after I was diagnosed with MS. So I think there was actually a little bit of a glitch. With MS, you have black holes in your brain, and I think somehow those holes gave me back some ability to write, to put stories together. And I just get a kick out of, that sounds kind of warped, but I get a kick out of writing about disabled people because it's quirkier things happen than for other people. Disease, desire, and those are obnoxious bedfellows, so I just thought that's sort of how it came about, those interests and the MS and the black holes.
You actually went back to school then,
I
too.
went back to school, yeah.
Yeah. You had the diagnosis, 4 kids.
Yeah. And my ex-husband now, he was going through lymphoma. He had a bone marrow transplant, so it's a little bit of stress involved there. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I'd be capable of doing, and I thought writing, well, that seemed like a good idea. So then I just kind of pursued it, and it just keeps happening, and it's wonderful. This has been a great year. So.
In the midst of everything.
In the midst of everything.
Was the writing kind of an anchor in that way then?
I think it was something to think about, putting the words together as something to think about other than what was happening to my body. Maybe that's why it's not really not cathartic so much, but yeah, definitely sort of some kind of balance.
Does that resonate with you, Robyn?
For me, it was a source of distraction out of my body. And there were all these weird things that were happening to me. And I had already had my mastectomy, and I was scheduled for an oophorectomy, which if you say with a French accent, oophorectomy, it's very sexy. But that means they take out your ovaries and fallopian tubes. And I was anticipating, because of my mastectomy, a flood of emails and phone calls, and I couldn't bear to talk to everybody, one by one. So I just started sending these little updates by email, and they were funny, and people would respond to them, and then I just kept doing them, and then they landed. And then a friend of mine at work, I used to be at CBC Radio, said, "Do you mind if I pass them on to a publisher friend?" Which is Rob Sanders, from Greystone, and he liked them. And I was invited to submit a proposal to write my memoir, which I did, and that's how it came to be. So it was kind of just writing quirky things just to amuse them and to assure people that I was okay, right? Because they were really worried, so I wanted them to know I was okay.
Looking after everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Kim, did you find with your stories that you were immediately writing about stories that reflected your own experience, or were you sort of starting out here somewhere and working towards that?
I think that I started with my own experience. It's also mixed up, it's just every character is, so yeah, that's the closest you're going to get to the other one. people I've known and people I would like to know, and so I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay, well, shall we hear part of one of the stories?
Sorry?
Shall we hear?
Oh, yes,
one of the
now.
stories?
Oh,
Yeah.
are you ready?
What are you going to read?
I'm going to read from the longest story in the book, and it's about the woman with MS she's been to the neurologist for her annual checkup, and she's been told that sexual response study that she was in, the results are in, and she now only has 6 orgasms left. Her body's only capable of that many. Period. She's about 40, she's single. By the time I get home from the MS clinic, park my car sanctuary van, pick up the newspaper and get in the door, I'm MS exhausted. Still trying to think tough instead of touch. Life is too fucking bizarre. I'll have a drink, or 6. I'll put my feet up, even the good one. I carry the wine bottle under my arm, my favorite glass in hand. The orange one, the biggest, and the corkscrew in my pocket. Settle down, I think, as I lean back into the couch. I should buy this wine by the case so I don't have to go to the liquor store so often. They're starting to call me by name. I really can't let this orgasm thing bother me. The latent stress of the post-clinic reality strangles me. The thought of people, guests, overwhelms me. It's too late to pull out, call off the dinner. These friends would understand, but stubborn pride demands another performance. I don't really want to be alone anyway. I know myself, at least that well. I always resort to sorting my life out in a crowd, take the edge off. I have an hour, 1 hour. Why did I think I could do this dinner easily, breezily even? My chicken widow is still mourning in the fridge. I should mention, she's prepared a recipe. It's called chicken in morning, and you slit the skin of the chicken before you roast it, and you slide black truffles in under the skin, so it actually looks like it has a veil when it comes out of the oven. So, yeah. The guests are coming about 6. Let it go, I warn myself out loud, feeling powerless. It's just that I can't control someone else's restricted number. I'll make it mine, the number 6. Take it over, take it on. My limited number of orgasms. Orgasms limited. The need, the want, the desire with capital D that I can control, have always controlled. Back up a few months, I didn't care. Years, there was more to life. A decade not worth remembering, so why now, just months, before I get an official orgasmic number, like the remainder at the end of long division, this sudden interest, desperate lust, fascination with all things faintly sexual, remotely sensual, and that blatantly meaningful furled symbol 6. 6 is so close to sex, even the numerical becomes hotly erotic. That scorching number is everywhere, let me tell you. Channel 6, page 6, February 6th, open at 26. I'll go and clear out. The table gets slowly busy, occupied, preoccupied. Let's see, we need all 6 chairs. The microwave reads 5:36 when I hear the doorbell, but people are always ringing the doorbell here, so I wait till I hear voices. Voices that I recognize. Jackie's got a key, so I don't have to get up in case I can't. Why is she always early? I think it's an antisocial personality flaw. Goes against the grain, the chaff chafes me. Come on in, I call vaguely toward the door. The decision to cancel is out of my hands. It'll be great, good at least. It always is. I'll get seriously cheery. It's either buck up or fuck up, both of which I've had considerable experience with. I'll go with the former, form the mood, shape the evening, share the load. It's just us, Mel. I hear the slight question between assurance and reassurance, coded warning in Jackie's voice. She has someone with her. Oh, right, the date. Paul. She's just making sure I'm not doing anything untoward, too forward or backward, too strange for a stranger. Jackie, you're finally here. I half joke, and she gives me a glance and a sigh before bustling her food and drink out of the arms of her attractively patient, quietly awkward fellow traveler and into my kitchen, which suddenly becomes her kitchen. It's our arrangement, and I'm happy to acquiesce, give up this culinary control. She diminishes my recently acquired inadequacy as only a good friend can. I face the new man. I guess you figured out I'm Melanie. Mel, if you like. You must be Paul. I say, smiling, balancing against the counter and reaching out my hand to take his much warmer one. Actually, I'm Marvin. He's still holding my hands. I'm trying to get my head around the switch up. Sorry, Marvin, my mistake. I'm trying to smooth things here, doing it badly. Yeah, Mel has a short memory, Jackie pipes up, but she's the one who's got a baby blush on. She's avoiding my eyes, so I'll cover for her again with another one of my newly ascribed endless shortcomings. We're even, Jackie and I. The chicken's in the fridge. I was thinking when you got here she could go in, but I haven't made it as far as the oven yet. Would you mind, Jackie? New recipe, take care with her, she's special. 375, convection. Oh, scrap convect, that was another life, another oven. My horoscope said delegate. Marvin, could you pour some wine? The bottle's by the couch. Unless you prefer something else. Beer's in the fridge, glasses are here, I say, pointing in the general direction of the cupboards. I like to see how people deal with a new situation, especially in my territory. I'm not mean or anything. It's just that everyone has their own brand of ownership of foreign space. Marvin seems curious, as though he expected something better. I sense relief. Jackie, who the hell is Marvin and what happened to Paul? I hissed, leaning toward her. She ignores my question, answers me with another she. You're calling our dinner she. Charlene won't like that. Too personal, too gendered. Then to Marvin off fetching the wine. Wine for me too, please. It's the recipe. It's called chicken in morning. I attempt to explain my avian relationship. Charlene won't eat it anyway. I don't mean the chicken's a she like a puck shooter in or a truck parker over there. It's the recipe. The writing, the wording, the mood of the morning letters on the page this morning. Jackie pulls the veiled main course out of the fridge, mumbling some affirmation. Marvin refills my glass, and I can't help but notice two thumbs on his left hand. In opposition, proposition, new position. Marvin's hand holding out my wine glass triggers this kick-ass curiosity. I'm trying not to stare. Marvin has a pair of opposing thumbs on his left hand. I mean, they look perfect. A mirror image. Just imagine the double smudge of brown whorls against, well, say, the stretch, nipple to nipple, sliding down my belly. A shock of attraction erupts. I'm hotter than a firecracker. Inexorably, insensibly linked. We share a port side flaw. Mel's problem is all on her left side, so that's where the port side comes in. Hell, we share a less synchronicity, a sinistral affinity, hysterically, numerically, liberally connected. That makes 6 digits. 6. And my magic number as of today, the big S-I-X. A gift I didn't want for my neurologist in room 616 at the MS clinic. 6 on the disability scale, not a good thing, remember. And 6 clinically prognosticated orgasms left in my apparently clinically non-libidinous life. Information my friends know nothing, not a yet about yet. I noticed the knuckle of one shapely outer thumb bend just around the bottom of the glass's tall stem base. The other, the inner thumb, stretches high, almost to the rim, and in between Marvin's fingers, all 4 of them cup my wine. I can imagine the full stretch of that hand just about anywhere on my body. I know what I have to do. I'm going to climax, I blurt. The only Oh, you made me lose my spot. I'm going to climax, I blurt. The only sounds after Jackie's laugh, more of a snort, and a clutched intake of breath at the doorbell and Charlene's voice. Marvin's moved away from me slightly, but still offers the wine, unsure whether to keep an eye on me or the open front door. Hey, Charlene calls from the door. Sorry I'm late. Anybody here? Jackie answers by the time Charlene hits the kitchen. Well, some of us are more here than others. She looks from me to Marvin and back to me. Then she throws the question out sideways. Marvin, what did she say? As if he somehow pulled a fast one on her. I take the wine from Marvin, just brushing that extra thumb. Is he smiling? I said, I'm going to climax. It's suddenly crucial that I do this. I say, looking into their wide eyes, one pair at a time. Yeah, climax. Marvin finds his voice, makes a noise. Would you like a hand with that? I love this audience. Mel, are you losing it or what? That's what I'm trying not to do, not to lose it. Yep, in the room. There's a writer's retreat out there. For a whole month. Am I okay for time? Can I do that? I wanted to skip ahead to that. They have dinner. Okay, they have dinner. And then something else kind of happened. I just have to find my spot here. All I have to do is tilt my head toward the table and Marvin's right there. The man with two left thumbs on one side of me, my cane on the other. It's a wacky balance, but it works. My mouth is out of control, running on ahead of logic. I say to Marvin, what beautiful thumbs, her hands. Hands. Digits. I mean, you have 6 digits on your left hand, which is really quite unusual. I've noticed now. Marvin has a sense of humor. Seems to be enjoying my awkward moment. Decides to release me from it by moving toward the table and asking, your wine? Do you want me to put it here? Are you ready to sit down? I am so ready. I sit down, park my cane in its usual corner. My mouth carries on. Very attractive. Actually, well, a hand tells a lot about a man, symbolizes so many things. Even the whole French thing, you know, le main. God, sorry, Marvin, I didn't mean to embarrass you. I just think you have a lovely hand. Hands. It's okay, really, my hand is flattered. He leaves his hand resting near my glass. Is he nervous? I ignore the glass, take my eyes off Marvin's thumbs and plant them on his face. Not bad at all. Better by the minute. There's a gloss on his forehead, a burnish of dark wood, foolish lip, eyes deep enough to drown yourself in. Excuse me, Marvin, there's something I have to do. I head off into the kitchen without the cane, screw it, and just hang onto the counter as I go. I'm on a mission. Should I feel guilty yet? Is he just friendly flirting? Better tread carefully. Yikes, it's warm in here. I scribble 6 on a turquoise post-it, bypass Jackie and Charlene at the sink and go directly to the oven, open the door and shove the crumpled paper between the chicken's curvaceously plump legs. I'm going to end it there.
Thank you, Kim.
I love you.
You know, I was thinking of new voices, and I think that both of you have rare voices, too, if I might say. You write from a place that not a lot of writers write from, a place where you've experienced some disability, some diagnoses, some disease, but I think, and call me, you know, stereotyping madly, but I was surprised how much sex there was in that book of yours. Good.
Surprises are good.
Do you feel annoyed when you hear people say that?
No, I just get quite a kick out of it, actually. I mean, there's a common misconception that people with disabilities have no libido, no desire, and it's shared by neurologists and a lot of people, right? So I kind of like to disprove that. Sort of. I mean, the MS is me, but the sex stuff, it's fiction, right? It's all just...
Would you agree, Robyn, that is just something that you get into a situation where people start assuming all kinds of things because of knowing a certain medical thing about you?
Like, do I have sex?
You don't have?
Nobody's asked me that question. But I will share something with you that I haven't told my neurologist. Orgasms are better with Parkinson's. They'll probably want to do a study and that's it.
Do you agree about why?
Yeah?
I share that too.
No?
In your memoir, you talk about fantasies, and one of the really funny ones, and perhaps this is a part that you could read, involves your neighbor and dental floss.
Okay. I just bought reading glasses. I'm a 1.
Starter readers. It's like training wheels.
It's really amazing that I can read my type big now. Except that's not the right page. 84, not 94. So this is at the point where I am, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, but I am not on any medication yet, okay? So just keep that in mind. And it's affected primarily my left side. My left hand is on hiatus. Its fingers have turned to stone. They look like frozen French fries ready to be cooked. The very sight of them makes my cry lady weep. She's this inner part of me, she's always crying. Farewell, manual dexterity, she moans. I sympathize with her sorrow, but she's overreacting. My right hand is still nimble-fingered. I remind her of that and how lucky I am. So far, only the left side of my body is affected. It could be years before Parkinson's migrates. Plus, I'm not taking any medication yet. This consoles my cry lady for now, but I can tell that she's still shaken up. Compared with her, I'm adjusting remarkably well to this new and worsening me. It turns out most activities I do can be done with one hand. Emptying the dishwasher, working on the computer, doing the laundry, shampooing my hair, even walking the dog. And when I need a helping hand with chores, chopping vegetables or folding towels, I just wave my tragic wand and poof! Bergen turns into my sous chef, and Naomi my girl Friday. They are so loving and so loyal, they'd be crushed to find out that I am even thinking of asking our neighbor for help. But in the bathroom, I have heard the sound of one hand flossing, and it's not pretty. Neither is the spell it has cast on my sexual fantasies. It's late at night. I'm lying in bed, sliding my tongue back and forth, slowly, smoothly across my teeth. Bergen is next to me, sound asleep. My tongue stumbles on something stuck between my molars. A kernel of corn? A smidgen of chicken? Oh, I can't be sure. But whatever it is, it must be removed. So I slither silently out of bed, creep down the stairs and slip out the front door. My Victoria's Secret nightgown flutters in the wind. Bursting with desire, I limp lasciviously across the street. A tiny gasp escapes my lips. There he is, my neighbor, Will, the dentist. We stand beneath the full moon and glittering stars, staring deeply into each other's teeth. Until finally I whisper, floss me. Will, floss me. And he does.
Oh my heavens. I don't even know where to go now.
He's so happy that he's in this book. He kept his name.
Yeah.
His wife was so happy. She said, I'm so happy that everybody knows that you're fantasizing about my husband.
He was also in the band of dentists who serenade you. I think it's after you're back from the mastectomy, is it?
Yes.
And they're playing.
They're playing sort of it's like a backdrop. What's it called? Like a background. Well, no, it's like a theme song. It's like, a mixtape to my mastectomy. And I didn't know who the band was, but it actually turns out he's playing guitar. And he's playing drums actually, and they're all these dentists that get together. They're old timers, and I was imagining that they were all really young and handsome and stuff. stuff, and here they are, like all old geezers, you know.
It was like Pretty Woman by times, as part of that mixtape. Right?
Yeah, and I thought that was a little bit ironic, because I was lying in bed with tubes and, you know, bleeding, but
Not feeling so pretty right then.
no.
We were talking before we came on stage here, and one of the things that really intrigued me was the whole idea of license, and the idea of, with what you've been through, both of you have been through, the idea of like anything goes almost at this point. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, I'll confess first. I lick my plate. My pancake syrup plate, you know, after my pancakes, I like to lick the syrup. My dog Nellie looks at me. But I figure, fuck it. I don't really have anything else, but what am I going to do, you know? I have Parkinson's and breast cancer, and I'm probably going to get dementia, so... How about you, Kim?
What she said. I don't lick my plate. Yeah. No, I have gotten bolder, for sure. There are fears out there, but they're not the same ones.
Huh.
And yeah, buck up or buck up.
Perspective. Yeah. Does it, when you think about that, and writing, I'm just wondering, would you change it? What has happened to you? Would you change it back? Would you not have MS?
If I didn't have MS, I wouldn't be writing.
Mm-hmm.
I really like so much of my life that I would, at this point, I would give up. Yeah, I know I wouldn't. I'd like everything back the way it was, but it's so long ago for me that everything else has gone on changing around me, so I can't bring back those years. So I'm quite happy to have the years that I have, the way they are now.
Right. And people's expectations too. We were talking about that idea of who you are, or what you are, or where you are. That changes so much too, doesn't it, Robyn?
Yes, it does. Want me to add on? I think that people expect, well, with me, people expect me that, they see me and they think that I'm so kind of normal looking and that I don't look sick. But Parkinson's is an odd disease because it's, a lot of people, 50% of the population who has Parkinson's, they suffer with clinical depression. So I'm one of the lucky ones that has clinical depression, and it comes and goes. And maybe I can illustrate that by reading something.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Number 1. This is how I begin the book. And it captures what I call the bad old days. I wasn't always like this. So moody, so anxious, so volatile. I used to be just a little moody, a little anxious, a little volatile. And only when I was premenstrual, overworked, or overtired. But now things are getting worse. My mood swings are growing more frequent and more severe. The flashes of anger ambush me anytime, any place. I'll be at the grocery store, happily picking out vegetables. Then, for no apparent reason, my blood starts to boil and my hands reach out to rip the broccoli heads right off their stalks. Or I'll be sitting at my desk at work, and a colleague will absent-mindedly leave his empty Tim Hortons coffee cup next to my phone, and suddenly I feel violated and vengeful, and imagine that I am a cannibal, ripping him to shreds with my razor-sharp teeth, devouring his flesh and guts, and washing it all down with gulps of his double infused blood. In the interests of keeping my job and shopping privileges, When I am out in public, I struggle to keep it together. I put on a pseudo-happy face, complete all my assignments on time, keep my angry impulses bottled up inside, waiting until I get home to explode, eat my young, then blame my man.
You talk about that, about the months that you struggled with. Years with what was 5 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
With trying to figure out what was going on.
But this is harder.
Drinking with the Madonna mic.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel like I'm falling apart. Okay.
I was saying it was 5 years that you
at
thought
least.
things were
Yeah,
falling like that.
I was fumbling, my left side of my body was just doing weird things, twitching and, clumsiness, dropping things and mood swings I couldn't shake, the depression, and I felt like I was in a fog all the time. I wasn't able to multitask the same way I used to, especially at work where you're expected to be able to do this and this and this and this. I was highly emotional, I was crying, and I noticed it most when I was with my girlfriends one night, and they were all like, we were all in our almost 40s, and they were like having these fantastic orgasms and talking about anal plugs and, all sorts of shit like this. And I was like, what am I missing, I'm just really sad. I'm just like doing nothing here. I'm not having any fun. This is not life. And then I figured that something was really wrong. So we started going through all these tests, and it took 5 years until a neurologist diagnosed me. And then I said, I'm going to get a second opinion. I don't like that one. Well, hard to embrace.
And then, subsequent to that, of course, you had the second diagnosis. Can you talk a bit about that, about discovering after you were dealing with Parkinson's and trying to manage the symptoms, and then being told that now you had breast cancer too?
How'd you know? That's what my friend Gloria calls it, the good part. Get the good part of the story when you have your mastectomy. Well, there has to be a climax in the story.
Speaking of climax. Rhymes with what is the word? Regina.
Rhymes with Regina.
Oh, Regina. Oh,
Yeah.
Something like that.
The Regina monologue, yeah.
No, that was a better word. Anyway. Well, I stumbled upon it, and it just seemed really like, it wasn't really going to happen. And then it became a hiatus from Parkinson's, because I suddenly went into survival mode. Like Parkinson's, it's slow, insidious. It's just like day by day, watch yourself, decay slowly. Whereas breast cancer seemed a bit more, hysterical. Right? Like, you better do something about it quick, man,
Now.
Yeah, and so within the day of within being diagnosed, the next day we were at the surgeon's office, and she's saying, well, how does 3 weeks from now sound? It's like, oh, gee, thank you, that sounds great. Just sign me up, please take off my breast. I was really hoping for that, And
So action opposed to inaction, really, that makes it more tolerable.
well, yeah, it's and then the tests, right? And it's go. So you have no time to think, no time to breathe, nothing at all. And my daughter was away at camp, and when she came back, we had to break the news, and we took her out to a nice restaurant, and over dessert, I said, by the way, I have breast cancer. And she said, oh, Mama, you have that too? Talk about fucking up your kids' summertime, It's just a bummer.
Was there a part that you wanted to read about that too? About the
I don't think so, Sheryl.
the neurologist there?
Oh, well, I can do the neurologist, but I'll do that one.